Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. We are super excited that you are here with us. We are going to, let's do this real quick. All right. There you have it. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Michelle Harden, and I am here with the lovely Lachelle Pierre, and we're going to be your host on today. We just put some information in the chat. We're going to do just a little housekeeping right now and introduce ourselves. So just so you know who we are and why we're here. So you have an opportunity to definitely invite your friends, invite other cohorts of people that you know that need to hear important information, and we will be getting started in just a few minutes.
Yes, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Go ahead and take a minute to do a quick share, do a reminder, and invite some people on, people that you know need this information just as much as you do. We're going to give you guys a moment to do that. And we're so glad that you are tuning in tonight.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did do in the chat, there is a link. We want you to go ahead and complete that link. You can do it throughout the session. We prefer that you go ahead and complete it now. It's going to ask you some questions just to kind of get acquainted with some of the things you may know about trust or wills or what your needs are, if this even, going to be great for you. So you're going to receive a lot of information on tonight. It's going to be absolutely powerful, life-changing. I would say right now, get your pen, your pad, your iPad, whatever you use to take notes, your cell phone, whatever you use to take notes, you're going to need it. And you're going to want to take copious notes tonight to be able to understand why we need a trust. I know I've talked to a lot of people, Lachelle, and what they say, oh, I got a will. That's first thing they tell me, oh, I got a will. And so, it's, you're going to understand why it's important to really start thinking about why you and your family need to have a trust.
Right. Well, Michelle, you're getting more than I've gotten. Most of the conversations that I've had, people say, I've been meaning to do that, or that's something I need to do. They haven't even gotten to the step of getting even a will together, let alone a trust. It's always on the to-do list. And so what we want people to know tonight, we are here to help you move this from your to-do list to done, complete it, so that you have that peace of mind that your wishes will be carried out the way that you want. So that's why we're here tonight.
Let's kill the taboo, because they coming in the room. I see pastors joining. Pastors are coming in. So hello, pastors. I know this is your night off. So thank you for joining us. But let's kill the quick taboo real quick. Just because they start working on their trust or their wills doesn't mean they're gonna die tomorrow.
Please tell them it is okay to plan and prepare. I promise. Unless it's your time, it's not going to happen tomorrow just because you had a conversation and put stuff in place.
I see some phenomenal people on. I see Millie Kamadana on, one of my brokers. I see another amazing partner, Robbie, that's on. And thank you guys so much for joining. They're the reason why I'm here today. So we're going to give you just probably another 60 seconds before we bring on our presenter. We don't want him to stop for any reason. So again, grab your notebook, grab your pen, grab your family, grab your spouse, grab your children, and give us the next 60 minutes and to really hear this information that's going to be life-changing. Again, in the chat is a link. So that link will allow you to be able to complete some information that's going to help us and help you understand if this is something that you want, you need to move forward with. And it's amazing information. literally changed my life, guys, just hearing it. I went one day to North Carolina to hear this information. I wanted to be up and close in person. I wanted to see what it was. And I was not only impressed, but I was impacted to know that this is what me and my husband had been looking for all the time. Another housekeeping deals, please keep your phone on mute, especially if you have background noise. If you have a question throughout the presentation, go ahead and put it in the chat. So I do hear somebody's line unmuted. We can find you and we'll mute you, but just for housekeeping sake, so we can have a good, clear call and nobody misses any information, please put your phone and keep them on mute. Thank you. Lachelle, go ahead and share a little bit more information and then we'll be ready to introduce our guests.
All right, thanks, Michelle. So you said tell a little bit about ourselves. I'll tell a little bit about myself while I'm here. I am a licensed insurance agent and legacy planner, and it is just near and dear to my heart, having lost both of my parents in the last couple of years, and just having to take care of all of their things. The beautiful part is my brother and I have been in lockstep with each other. And so we've dealt with all of this firsthand. But I also like to talk about not just what happens if you pass away, but what if right now something happens? Who's that person that is designated to have your medical power of attorney? Who's the one that's gonna go in your closet or your nightstand and get rid of whatever you need them to get rid of before your kids see it? And yes, I'm traumatized cleaning out my parents' closet. So you guys, we want to see, y'all aren't thinking about that, right? But again, that's why we're here tonight, to just start having those conversations and to be the people to help you get your things in place. So that's it for me, Michelle. That's why I'm here.
Okay, and just a little bit about me. My name is Michelle Harden. I am a licensed realtor. I'm also a licensed insurance agent. And I'm just finding my sweet spot with helping people, you know, with what they need information, especially in the kingdom, especially in the body of Christ, where we find that pastors are on the front line. And you see this happening every weekend. You have some funeral to go to, and some of those funerals end up with families at odds, or if it is a family that did not have the resources. So it's just education. This is about educating you tonight. This is something that Lachelle and I are committed to in the insurance business. And I'm so glad that my broker, my real estate broker, also sees the need of this. So we're moving into this basically full time as well. So I'm very excited for them and very, very excited about this opportunity to be able to just share this information. So again, take notes, drop the link back down in the chat again. And so we're going to get ready to move out the way because we have somebody greater than us that is well prepared and ready to give us the information. So let me just tell you a little bit about Scott Garcia. I feel like I know him personally. He hosts a call every Thursday with thousands and hundreds of thousands of agents across the globe. And I feel like he knows me personally, probably do not. But I'm just privileged to be sitting amongst leaders, thought leaders who want to empower people, give you the information, and it's up to you to make a decision. So about Scott Garcia, call him the Magic Man. He's the Magic Man with over 30 years of financial services. Scott has a proven track record of helping clients to secure their future. Okay. Starting with Bankers Life and Casualty, he earned St. Louis Agent of the Year honors 6 times, enjoyed a successful 17-year management career, And he then discovered his power of combining his financial expertise with estate planning, transforming his approach to client acquisition. So it's somebody I can listen to for a long period of time. And y'all know my attention span sometimes is I be multitasking, but when he speaks, I'm listening because he's giving some great information on how we can leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. So without any further ado, guys, we're gonna get out the way and we're gonna bring none other than Scott Garcia. You're gonna hear from him. So guys, put your hands together, put those little applause in the your what is it called? React, give those applause so he can see them on screen, because this is a little different than him doing a presentation, on stage, but I know he's getting ready to rock it. So here he is, guys, Scott Garcia.
Thank you very much, Michelle and Michelle. Really appreciate you guys getting this meeting together to try to educate the people you care about and know on a subject that's often misunderstood. My name is Scott Garcia. I'm the National Marketing Director for a company called Integrated Trust Systems. You might want to write that name down, Integrated Trust Systems. ITS, in other words. And most people on this call, if anybody's probably never heard of Integrated Trust Systems, but Integrated Trust Systems has been around for 40 years. This is our 40th year in business. We've helped over 21,000 families plan their estate plan. 21,000. If you go to our website, www.integratedtrustsystems, and put a slash and then Better Business Bureau report, you'll find out that we have 0 complaints in 40 years. We're 21,000 plus for 21,000 plus. We have no complaints. So that tells me we're affecting a lot of people and people love our program. We have no complaints. So I hope you're impressed by that. We love to have you look deeper into our program. And tonight I'm really excited because I'm going to share with you guys some information that you can't get anywhere else. First of all, the information is not readily available. If it was, you'd all have the information. So it's not readily available. But number two, our program is different than everybody else. So the information I'm going to share with you tonight, you can't get anywhere else. So I'm really glad Michelle has at least exposed you guys to this information. And as I go through this all important information, you'll have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with Michelle and get some more information. We might have some time for some questions, but what I'm going to do right now is just share my screen just so I can get to the slide deck. I'm going to do that. Hopefully I don't mess this up. I'm not very computer literate, so let's see if I can do this. Can everybody see my screen? Michelle, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Let me go through this. Okay, I'm going to skip that. All right. I'm not going to bore you with any comedy, but I will get into the nitty gritty. First of all, we're a nationwide company. I'm the National Marketing Director. And here's what I find out whenever I travel. I was in North Carolina a few weeks ago. Last week, I was in Dallas, and I'm in Huntsville, Alabama today. We have 300 people coming to seminars Tuesday and Wednesday. So again, this information is very, very important, and people want this information. We're going to give you some really valuable information today. What I'm going to do is just go through a couple of slides. First of all, most of you know, and maybe you don't, but this is a young red fox, Sanford and Son. This is Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America in the 1960s and 70s. This is Barry White. Everybody remembers the great voice of Barry White. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is Leona Helmsley, went to prison, a hotel mogul. Babe Ruth, Jimi Hendrix, Sonny Bono, Princess Di. Marilyn Monroe, Sammy Davis Jr., and Elvis Presley. Now, usually in a live event, we'll show these slides, but the reason we show the slides, I think everybody in this call probably knew who all those people were. The reason we show them tonight is you all know who they were, but the other problem we have is they all had a problem when they passed away. They had government intervention with their distribution of their assets, and a lot of them went through probate. And what we find is this: most people, if certain unforeseen things happen, will put their family through probate court. Now, if you guys were all live with me and I was on stage and I talked to you, if I raised my hand and said, who in this room would like to put their family through probate court, I would imagine no hands would go up. However, I have an article in my office, and what the article says is about 300 million, I'm sorry, about 3 million people go through probate every year. Now, I know we all have phones these days. If you get out your cell phone right now, go to the calculator, put in the number 3 million. If you divide that by 50 states and then take that number and divide that by 260 working days a year, you'll find out that the answer is 230. So no matter what state you're getting this call from, no matter what state you're in right now, if that statistic is true, whether you're in Florida, I'm in Alabama, but I live in Missouri, but that would tell me that on average, every state in our country, there are 230 families just like yours that yesterday thought they'd never go through probate, but now they're in probate because they didn't have the right distribution or legacy plan. So many people go through probate. I think you'd all agree with that. That's a staggering number, 230 people, every state and every day. See, it's going to happen tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday in your state based on that statistic being true. But I always ask people, if there was 230 influenza cases open today in your state and in every state, I think we have a pretty good bet that it'd be on NBC Nightly News tonight. It'd probably be on 60 Minutes Sunday. It'd be in the newspaper, it'd be all over the internet. See, but when it comes to probate, people really don't know a whole lot about it, so it's not publicized. So we don't really know, all the probate situations. We're going to go through what is probate tonight, why does it happen? Because here's what I do know. Probably everybody on this call, if certain unforeseen things happen, you're going to put your family through probate court. We want to avoid that because probate's 100% avoidable. So the good news is it's avoidable. The bad news is a lot of people aren't prepared. The other statistic I want to bring you guys up to date is this. LexisNexis tells us that that Americans, people just like us, everyday people, we spend $3 billion a year in probate. $3 billion. Now, if you divide that out by 50 states and 260 working days a year, you'll find out that statistic is 153,000. So no matter where you live, if that statistic is true, your state collected about $153,000 in probate fees that could have been completely avoided. I would make a point that we have a pandemic in our country. Probate is the pandemic because people are unprepared. So I'm going to show you guys how to prepare tonight, and more importantly, show you why you might need to look at an estate plan. The good news is you're going to be offered a free consultation between Michelle and Lachelle to get all your questions answered. And again, the neat thing about you guys being on this call, they have a solution that's unmatched in the industry. Lachelle and Michelle have the only program that I know of that you can get your estate plan done very easily with a one-time flat fee for the documents, and you never pay again the rest of your life for documents. Our clients, Lachelle and Michelle's clients, only pay one time for the documents. They never pay again for documents. Number two, if you're a client of Lachelle and Michelle's, you have 100% control because you can change the trust from anywhere you are, your kitchen table, if you're on the cell phone at the condo in Florida, or even if you're in Italy. So these things are not usually available in a traditional book trust. So not only are we going to point out why probate happens, but give you a solution. Lachelle and Michelle have the best solution in the United States. So I'm really excited. All right, let's go through a little bit about me. Now, I mentioned people going through probate. A little bit about me. I founded a company called Premier Estate Income Planning. We're in St. Louis, but I'm also the National Marketing Director for Integrated Trust Systems. I've been in the business for 36 years, long time, helped over 1,000 clients. Now, when I mentioned probate, a lot of you probably thought, you know what, Scott, that helps other people. I'm okay. I'm not going to go through probate. Well, let me just walk you through a scenario real quick before I hit this bullet. And I'm going to hit the bullet. Here's what the bullet says. Overcame life-threatening cancer at age 20 and dedicated himself to helping others. Here's what happened. When I was 18 years old, I wasn't feeling very well, and I went to the doctor. The doctor did some blood tests and did some x-rays, came out about a half hour later and said, Scott, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been told you had a heart murmur? I said, no, doc, why would you ask me that question? I'm 18 years old. He goes, Scott, you got a softball-sized tumor on your chest. You got 3 weeks to live. We suggest you leave college right now and go back home. So guess what I did? I packed up all my stuff on a Friday afternoon and drove 2 hours home to my home in St. Louis. Now, the reason I bring that up is that was a pretty bad day in my life. But the good news was I had capacity. When I got back to St. Louis, I picked my doctor, my hospital, and my plan of treatment. And with the glory of God, I'm here 42 years later. I always ask people this question though, and I was away at college. What if I had been in a car accident in college and I'd have been in a coma? Well, see, I was 18 years old. I had no documents. I didn't know you had to have documents. Because I had no documents, when I had that car accident 2 hours away from my parents' house, how would my parents have even known? See, the hospital didn't even know I had parents. They wouldn't know anything about that. So, but finally, when they called my parents, when my parents found out, they drove 2 hours down to my school. When they walked in the hospital, how much power would my parents have to make a decision on me? I'm over 18 and in a coma. The answer is zero, because they had no documents. They'd have to prove they were my parents, which might be court. I don't know. But the point is, does anybody in this room want to be in that situation? And I always ask people on this call, just think about this yourself. How many people on this call have a single adult child over 18?
Mm-hmm.
If that's you, heaven forbid you get a call this Saturday night at 2:30 in the morning, your son or daughter has been in a car accident, and you frivolously get off the couch, put your shoes on, throw on a jacket, rush to your car, turn to the car. It's the middle of the night, you're driving to the hospital, and you think you're going to have some power. Well, guess what? What if you don't? See, you'd enter living probate. You might have to go to court to get the authorization to make a decision, depending on the state you live in. So again, people enter probate for a bunch of different reasons. I was in Granite Bay, California about 6 weeks ago. I had done a seminar in Granite Bay, California. To get back to my room, I went to my computer, put on MSN, and there was a story. Saturday night, 2 people got married in California. They were 24 years old. They got married, and they were driving to their wedding reception, and they never made it. 2 people, 24 years old, never made it to their wedding reception. I always ask people, I'll ask you, what's the chances of that happening? 0.0001%. See, the problem is we don't know what's going to happen. If you don't have the proper documents, you could be in big trouble or put your family through a crisis. So all this can be avoided if you have the right plan and the right documents. And that's the reason we're here tonight. We're on Channel 2 News in St. Louis, a couple times a month, because a lot of people don't know anything about estate planning. That's me on there with the host, John Pertzborn. We're in the newspaper. There's actually 2 ways to do estate planning. I'm glad you guys are on this call, because you're going to see a really, really attractive option. There's 2 ways to do estate planning. There's an old traditional book way. I'm going to hold up this book trust. Has anybody ever seen a book trust? That's what they look like. And there's nothing wrong with a book trust, except a few things. One thing is this. I always ask people, if you have a book trust, you have your documents on paper, how would you change a book trust? Well, the answer is you'd call the attorney and set an appointment, drive to the office. But it's even worse than that. See, what could happen to somebody is you might have to make a change. So you call the attorney, you drive to the office, and then the attorney says, well, you know what, Joe? You told me you had a new grandbaby too. And you said your daughter got divorced, and you changed your brokerage account and sold your property and opened a new bank account, and your aunt became disabled and your sister died. And boy, did you know the state of Texas passed a couple of laws last year. You know what, Joe? It's not just one change, man. I got a lot of work to do here. It's probably going to take me about 4 hours to get everything done. You probably don't want to sit here for 4 hours. Why don't you just go home, Joe? I'll finish all the paperwork. I'll print out the papers. I'm going to send them to you in about a week. When you get the papers at your house, put a 3-hole punch in the book.
Hey.
Sorry? Put a 3-hole punch in the book. But before you leave the office, Joe, see Sally at the front desk. You owe us $2,000. Does anybody in the call like this process? See, the problem with the book is if you had the book, you'd have no control because you can't change it. You have to go to the attorney's office. The reason I bring that up is when you see this article, it says 21st century estate planning. See, we have a digital platform that's been around for 40 years, and our clients just log into their trust anytime they want to. This is an example of what your trust would look like. The estate plan. You actually can log in from your kitchen table or from your cell phone on an iPad. Anywhere you are, you can make a change whenever you want to in real time on a Saturday morning, Sunday night, Tuesday night, Monday night, whenever you want to. Even if you need help, There's help provided. We have unlimited help for $95 a year, unlimited help. You can ask questions and request changes. Never have to leave your home. We make all the changes for you in instant time. When you go to the notepad to ask for help, it's within 72 hours. So our platform offers 100% control. If you have a book trust, you have no control. So the first question you have to ask yourself is this: if I had a trust, would I want to have control? Well, if you want to have control, you must call Michelle and Lachelle so they can show you how this works. I'm only going to hit the highlights. There's actually 14 benefits of our platform. I'm only going to share 3 benefits of our platform. There's actually 14. So you want to call Michelle and Lachelle if you want to have control, because if you have a book trust, you have no control. I stayed on the radio show. I've been on the radio in St. Louis for 5 years. I say that statement every weekend. The truth is, there's nothing wrong with the book except you won't have any control. You can't change it. So if you want to have control, call Michelle and Lachelle and get on their calendar. We also provide a whole entire team. Lachelle and Michelle have a whole entire team. They actually have 6 estate planning attorneys on their staff. Down here at 5 o'clock is one of our estate planning attorneys, Jennifer Cermak. Up here at 11 o'clock is Sierra Lister. She's an estate planning attorney. Ed Kaiser is one of our estate planning attorneys. We'll talk about him in a moment. Nathaniel Lamb is a tax lawyer. This gentleman handles Medicare. Greg Crawford owns a trust company. One thing we'll talk about tonight is funding. You probably don't know what funding is now, but you will by the end of the call. And Caroline Nam will fund your trust. So Lachelle and Michelle have an entire team to help you. It's not just them. These are all professionals that will help you get your estate plan done. So it's not just one person. Over 250 years of experience. Most people like it that we have an entire team. Here's our attorneys, Ed Kaiser. We also have Jennifer Cermak. There's Jennifer. Sierra Lister. Is this in your way? Let me move this in case it's in your way. Whoops. Get that out of the way. Okay, we also have Sierra Lister and then Chelsea Keller. We also have 2 more attorneys. We just got them involved last month, 2 Chicago attorneys. So we have 6 estate planning attorneys. Jennifer Cermak is a JD from Oklahoma. She got her JD from Oklahoma City University School of Law. She's done estate planning, probate. She's done some federal cases. She's the public defender in St. Louis for the juveniles, and she's a 2-time national champion in Taekwondo. You'll love working with Jennifer. Ed Kaiser. Has anybody on the call ever heard the company Remax Results Realty Company? It's a nationwide company. If you Google Ed Kaiser, you'll find out he's their general counsel. He's their #1 corporate attorney in the whole company. He's been an attorney for 10 years. He graduated magna cum laude from University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire in 07, got his Juris Doctorate, again, magna cum laude from his William Mitchell College in St. Paul. Great attorney. You love working with Jennifer or Ed. We have 6 estate planning attorneys. Get ready to learn. Let me say this to you. What if you don't have the right legacy plan in place? See, a lot of you on this call have done very well, and I appreciate that. But what if you don't have things structured correctly? For instance, if you're using beneficiary designations on your retirement account because your broker or your insurance agent or your banker said, you know what, Joe, name your wife, Cindy, the primary beneficiary, and your 3 kids equal contingent. That's what in my experience, has been about 98% of what all people do. They name their spouse, then their kids. Well, we'll find out tonight that's probably a no-no because there's 10 reasons that won't work, and it might be a problem for your family. So again, if you're using beneficiary designations, I'm really glad you're on this call because you're going to get a great education on why that could be a problem. We're going to go through 7 everyday situations that can lead to emotional and tragic results, how to prepare for those. When I go through these 7 things, just ask yourself, am I prepared? Is my family prepared? Most of you are not, because I know there's 230 probate cases that opened up in your state on average based on this statistic. How to write the ultimate love note to your family. Let me ask you a facetious question. Think about this in your own mind. Would you like to put your family through probate court? If the answer is no, you probably need to have an estate plan. We'll talk about that tonight. And then the other one, which is really cool, is how to develop a tax-free income. See, I don't know what path you're on. I don't know if you're 35 years old, 65 years old, but there's a certain percentage of people in our country that could retire tax-free, even though they might have $1 million. But you have to have the right strategy. Lachelle and Michelle might be able to show you that. And then some of you that are retired are over 62 years old, receiving Social Security. Some of you are being taxed on your Social Security benefits. You're not only paying income taxes, but you're also paying tax on your Social Security. Now, the problem with that is if we look it up in the IRS code, the Social Security benefit is tax-free. It's not even taxable. But I have an article in my office, although it's not taxable, 50% of all retirees pay tax on their Social Security because they have the wrong mix when it comes to their income. See, when you're retired, there's two types of income: good income, bad income. Bad income is any income that shows up on your tax return, which would be a pension or a required minimum distribution of your IRA, any interest from your CD. See, if you have too much income that shows up on your tax return, you're penalized in our great country, the United States of America, which means you might have to pay tax on either 50% of your Social Security or 85%. And about half the retirees do that. However, there's a certain percentage of those retirees that if we took their bad income, if we can change it and convert it into good income, if I can take your $40,000 distribution from your retirement account that right now you're paying tax on, and it's also causing you to pay tax on 85% of your Social Security, if I can convert that to tax-free, well, now the $40,000, you get to keep it all. You don't pay tax on any of the $40,000, you keep it all, and it might lower your income enough where you don't even pay tax on your Social Security. You can keep all of your Social Security. So again, that's a strategic play, but Lachelle and Michelle have the way to do that. Not to everybody. Everybody can't retire tax-free, but a certain percentage can. If your current advisor isn't even bringing this up, you need to talk to Michelle and Lachelle because we might be able to help you. Everybody's got a green sheet. Is that correct, Michelle? Okay, so you guys all have a questionnaire. Keep the front of this sheet as I go through this presentation on the front, circle the day and time to get together with Michelle and Lachelle. They'll call you or just, they have a way, they're going to cover at the end how to set an appointment with them. Please fill that out as we go through. On the back of that green sheet, we're going to go through some questions on the back. Please mark those down because Lachelle and Michelle will cover those when they have your free consultation. I'm going to skip this other stuff because we don't have a live event. All right. How we're different than other firms. How is Lachelle and Michelle different? Well, one way we're different is we have a three-pronged approach. Now, this is my presentation, but legal. When you come into the office, we're going to talk about the legal. We also have a tax platform, and then where it says financial, that's where Lachelle and Michelle will come in, not me. You'll be talking to Lachelle and Michelle about financial. But we have a three-pronged approach. We offer a free consultation. Again, as I go through this tonight, if there's anything I say that you have a concern about, have a question about, please make sure you get with Lachelle and Michelle to get your questions answered. The other thing we talked about is we have an internet-based option that puts you in control. Remember, we already talked about it. With our platform, you guys can all have control to make changes instantly from your kitchen table or from the cell phone, or if you're in the airport or even at the doctor's office. You can make changes on your estate plan. You can't do that with a book. The other benefit, the other thing I'm going to bring up with a book trust, this is a book trust, is if you have a book trust, what does a book trust cost? If I could ask all of you what a book trust costs, I might get some answers like $2,000, $3,000, $10,000, and that could be true. But whatever attorney has ever quoted you a price, whatever your idea is of a price for a trust, whatever that is, if you have a book trust, you have to realize that's not the cost. That's just the initial cost. See, no matter where you live in the United States, no matter what attorney you go to, female, male, whatever, old attorney, young attorney, the only way the law firm could tell you how much a book trust is going to cost, you'd have to tell them the day you're going to die right now. The day your spouse is going to die. Who's going to die first? Is anybody going to the nursing home? How many grandkids you going to have? How many great-grandkids? Are you going to change your bank account? Are you going to move your money from the one brokerage account to the other brokerage account? Are you going to sell your property? Is your son going to become disabled? Are you going to get an inheritance? And how many laws will your state pass in the next 25 years? See, if you can tell the attorney that right now in the first interview, they can come close, but it ain't 2,000, 3,000, or 5,000. It could be 20,000 because you're going to pay for every change. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because the reason you want to talk to Lachelle and Michelle is because at ITS, which is the platform we partner with them on, we offer a one-time flat fee for the documents and you never pay again the rest of your life. And our one-time flat fee is way lower than $5,000. But our clients only pay one time. I think that's why 21,000 families have entrusted us with their estate plan, and we have no complaints. So again, the one-time flat fee is a big deal. Only platform I know where you pay a one-time flat fee in the United States. So a reason to go see Lachelle and Michelle. At the bottom here, it says home of the estate plan. It's the last estate plan you'll ever need because you only pay one time. I'm going to read an article, the headline of this article to you. This is pretty important. Now, some of you know this, some of you don't. Let's go through this. I'm going to read this. I'm going to move that back and go back. This article says 64% of all Fortune 500 companies are Delaware incorporated. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but let's go through this. Most of you know and have heard of a company called Microsoft, I would imagine. It's a pretty big company. Microsoft's home office is in Redmond, Washington, on the west coast of the United States. But if you Google it right now or after this meeting, if you Google Microsoft Incorporation, you'll find out that they're incorporated through Delaware. They do not even use Washington state law. They're incorporated clear across the country on the East Coast. They're incorporated through Delaware. They use Delaware law. If you guys Googled AT&T, you'll find out AT&T's home office is in Dallas, Texas. But if you look up AT&T Incorporation, you'll find out they're incorporated through Delaware. They do not use Texas law. Anheuser-Busch is in St. Louis, Missouri, but they don't use Missouri law. They're incorporated through Delaware. So is Boeing, Dell Computer, Del Monte Foods, eBay, Amazon, Walmart, Coca-Cola. Most big companies are incorporated through Delaware because of tax advantages and legal protections. No matter what state you live in, if you own a business, you can incorporate through Delaware tomorrow. You don't have to go there. This is called jurisdictional shopping. Please write down jurisdictional shopping. Big companies can jurisdictionally shop and incorporate in any state they want to. Most companies pick Delaware. Now, that's a pretty high level of jurisdictional shopping. Let's go a little lower. No matter what state you live in, no matter what state, like let's say you live in Illinois. Think of a state that borders your state. If you live in Illinois, isn't it true you could drive to Missouri and buy a car? The answer is yes. If you live in Michigan, you could drive to Indiana and buy a car. And no matter where you live, if you don't live in Florida, you could buy a condo in Florida, no matter where you live in the United States of America, correct? The reason for that is because of jurisdictional shopping. See, all of us who are U.S. citizen have jurisdictional shopping privileges. We do the same thing these big companies do. You can jurisdictionally shop. Everyone on this call, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can buy cars outside your state and property outside your state. And I live in Missouri, but if you live in Kansas, I could buy your house if I had enough money. I don't got to move there. I can just buy it and rent it out, correct? Again, an example of jurisdictional shopping. Now, on this call tonight, we're not going to incorporate a business. We're not going to buy a car, but we are going to talk about estate planning. See, estate planning is no different. We can jurisdictionally shop when it comes to estate planning. Just because you live in Pennsylvania doesn't mean you got to buy all your cars in Pennsylvania, all your property, and it certainly doesn't mean you have to use Pennsylvania law when you do your trust. If you live in Michigan, you don't got to use Michigan law when you do your trust. And if you live in Alabama, you got to use Alabama law. You can jurisdictionally shop. Now, the good news is there's no reason to do any research. We've already done the research. This is the 10th Annual Domestic Asset Protection Trust State Rankings. I'm going to make it bigger. 10th Annual Domestic Asset Protection Trust State Rankings. This is a separate trust offered by Nevada, but it piggybacks off Nevada law. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says number one, Nevada. Nevada has some of the best trust laws in the United States. South Dakota, Ohio, Missouri, New Hampshire, Tennessee, Delaware, Alaska, on down the line. This is 2 years ago. These are all on the internet. All these reports are on the internet. You can look them up. But 2 years ago, Nevada was ranked number one. Last year, the 11th annual, let me make it bigger. 11th annual domestic asset protection. Again, a separate trust offered by Nevada, but it piggybacks off Nevada law. Most articles you'll find, Nevada's ranked number one. Nevada, South Dakota, Ohio, Missouri, Connecticut. Now, the reason Nevada is ranked number one, we feel, as you look at some of the research, and you might want to write this down, the reason Nevada is ranked number one is because Nevada is the only state in our country that has codified all the laws electronically, and they recognize e-signatures throughout the whole process. For instance, I live in Missouri. I can't log into my Missouri trust because I'm going to get a book like this. And I can't change it because I got to call the attorney. See, two benefits in Nevada law. You guys could all log into your trust anytime you want to and make a change in real time because everything's codified electronically. You can't really do that in Florida or Michigan or Indiana or Kansas or California. You're going to get a book. So one of the reasons you want to talk to Lachelle and Michelle, they have ways for you guys to have all this control and be able to log in. So Nevada has the best trust laws in the country because they've codified all laws electronically and they recognize e-signatures. So there's a couple benefits in Nevada. There's actually 8 reasons to have your trust situs in Nevada. And because of jurisdictional shopping, you could all take advantage of that if you wanted to. But talk to Lachelle and Michelle about that. How we can help you guys. Let's go through this. What's better, a will or a trust? Most attorneys will tell you, and I'm not an attorney, but most attorneys will tell you need to have both. You need to have a will and a trust. In our package, you will get a will and a trust. If you're married, you'll both get a will and a trust, no problem. Financial strategies, Lachelle and Michelle can show you how to grow your money with 100% protection with no loss possibilities. And we talked about the tax planning strategies. Tax on Social Security. If you're paying tax on Social Security, you need to talk to Lachelle and Michelle because they might be able to help you and save you thousands of dollars a year tax-free. Wouldn't it be a shame if you're on this call and you're paying taxes, federal, state, and tax on Social Security, and your current advisor never even brought it up? Maybe Lachelle and Michelle could help you. Maybe you could retire tax-free. The way you find that out is have the consultation with them. So again, at the end, make sure you sign up for that consultation. They might be able to help you out. All right. Why we exist, why we're here. Let's go through this. Couple statistics. Number one, how many people in our country have a will? This is pretty important. You guys want to pay attention to this slide. Based on this article from Wealth Council, we find out that 40% of all people in our country have a will. Now, if you write anything down tonight, I think you should write this down. This is really important. A will by itself, if that's all you have, guarantees your family probate. What is probate? Probate is government intervention in the distribution of your assets. Probate. Probate is a Latin term that means to prove. When you go through probate, 4 things happen. Number 1, there's unnecessary fees. Number 2, there's unnecessary delays. Number 3, there's public record. And number 4, that can lead to contestability. For instance, in my home state of Missouri, the fee is 6.6% of the first $100,000. So if my house is worth $400,000 and there's no beneficiary, which happens most of the time, it might cost my family $25,000, $30,000 for my house to even go through probate. My house has to sit there for 6 months. Who's going to pay my electric bill and the water bill? What if I have a house payment? What about my real estate taxes? Then it's going to go on the internet and the newspaper. And then anybody can claim it. Robbie can claim my house. So again, public record, but a will guarantees probate if that's all you have. See, a lot of people think a will's a good thing, but all wills must be read in probate court. They're all contestable, and the judge doesn't have to listen to the will. The will is a last will and testament, the last testament of what you're willing to have happen, but the judge doesn't have to go by what it says, and they're all contestable. It's very important because most people think a will is a good thing to have. So people find that out and they do a trust. Percentage of people have a trust. Now, if I asked you in a live event, how many people have a trust, we get a bunch of different answers, but the answer actually is 17. So based on this article from Wealth Council, 17% of all people in our country have an estate plan. Now, let me ask you this question. I wish we were in a live event because it's a lot more fun to get people's opinions. But I'll say this to you. If I asked you a question, does a trust avoid probate? I would get most people would answer yes. Some people would say no. What's the correct answer? The answer is actually when it comes to your titled, tangible assets, your house, the lake house, the farm property, your bank account, the CD, your checking account, your RV, anything that has a title, the boat, anything that has a title, if you get a trust, let me walk you through this. If I go see an attorney tomorrow in Missouri and I pay the law firm $5,000 and they present a book to me in about a month and I get it notarized and signed, it looks like this. It's all notarized and signed. It cost me $5,000. But if that law firm leaves my house in my personal name, my bank accounts in my personal name, my RV in my personal name, even though I have this book, when I die in a car accident, when my kids go to the county and say, you know what, my dad had this book, he spent $5,000. We're really glad he has it. It's notarized and signed. He has this house. It's worth $800,000 on Main Street. He told us we get the house when he died. He told us the last 26 Christmases, how did we get the house? Well, the county is going to say, well, first of all, let's look it up. Well, first of all, before we look it up, can you prove he died? Well, yeah, here's a death certificate. Okay, so he's dead. Can you prove you're the kids? Well, yeah, here's a birth certificate. Okay, how do we know you're the only kids, though? Might be a problem. But then they look it up and they say, okay, the house is in Scott Garcia's name, and he's dead. Dead people can't own property. What are you guys here for? Well, we want the house. Yeah, but the house is in his name. Do you have any legal mechanism that says you get the house? Well, no. We have to open a probate file. See, the problem is the law firm left the stuff in my name. Dead people can't own property. So now my kids are going through probate. Just even though I have a trust, they're going through probate. And they're going to have the same problem at the bank also. So the key is this. The trust has nothing to do with probate avoidance when it comes to your titled tangible assets. They have to be retitled in the trust name, which is called funding. Please write down the word funding. Funding, 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 funding. Funding is hugely important. Funding avoids probate, not the book. What is funding? Funding has nothing to do with money. Funding is simply retitling the tangible assets in the trust name, which if you live in Missouri or Michigan or Illinois or California or Pennsylvania or Nevada or Idaho, because you're using paper, funding is a pain in the neck. It's confusing, complicated, and time-consuming. It might take 4 to 12 weeks to just fund your trust. You guys have to realize this. If you're going to get a book trust, my experience has been when you go see the law firm, the book won't even be done for a month. Today's the 26th of August. If you went to see an attorney tomorrow, August 27th, in most cases, you wouldn't even get your book back till September 27th. Now you got to retitle all the assets if the law firm even brings it up. My experience has been most law firms don't even bring it up. So now you got to fund the trust. Well, 12 weeks from September 27th is actually January 27th. It's almost the Super Bowl, and your stuff's still not in the trust. What if you die before that? See, funding is critical, and it's a pain in the neck, and it's up to the client to do it. You're not going to like funding. Now, the reason I make a big deal about that, why would you want to call Michelle and Lachelle? Here's one of the biggest reasons. Why would you want to use Nevada law? Here's one of the biggest reasons. If anybody's on this call and you're worth $10 million, guess how quick Lachelle and Michelle can fund your estate plan? The answer is 1 hour. 1 hour, and they have a staff that does all the work. So if funding is critical, here's your choice. I'm not going to call Lachelle and Michelle. I'm going to go call an attorney and buy a book I can't change. I don't know what it's going to cost. I got to fund it. That might take till January. Or I'd rather just call Michelle and Michelle, pay a one-time flat fee of 100% control, and let them put my assets in the trust in 1 hour electronically, and they do all the work. So again, that might be 3 big reasons you want to call Lachelle and Michelle, because what I just explained to you guys on this call does not exist anywhere else except Lachelle and Michelle's office in their area. You can't get that anywhere else except with the ITS platform. So again, that's a big reason you should call Lachelle and Michelle, set up a time. We might not be a fit, but if you don't call her, you'll never know. You don't call them, you'll never know. Funding is critical, people, and we can do it in an hour. That's a huge benefit to you. We also have an article they can share with you. Half the people in this article said estate planning is for the rich. See, most people think estate planning is for the rich and famous. I'm in Alabama. I just flew here today. The cutoff for probate is $36,000. If anybody has an asset in Alabama worth $36,000 in their name and they die, it's got to go through probate if there's no beneficiary. In Michigan, the probate cutoff is $15,000. Missouri is $40,000. I just left Texas last week. It's $75,000 cash and $100,000 property. Most people, including you and your neighbors and your relatives, are a candidate for probate because the probate thresholds are very low. The estate tax thresholds are very high. This is probate. We're not talking estate taxes. We're talking probate. Government intervention. Most of you are a target for probate, and so are your clients and your parishioners also. 25% of the people in this article said they've been talking about their family at their own death. That's a shame because people are confused. They don't know who to call. See, when they do the estate plan, it's a very easy transition to tell your kids, hey, I went and saw Michelle and Michelle. We got our estate plan done. We paid one time. We got 100% control, man. It's awesome. Kids, if anything happens, call Michelle and Michelle. That's the conversation. 49% of the people in this article said their assets weren't enough to consider an estate plan. Again, the probate thresholds are very low. People are uneducated. 61%. Now, I told you guys a little while ago, a will guarantees probate. Some of you were shocked. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm gonna read you the definition soon, but most people think a will is a good thing, but I told you guaranteed probate. What does the public think? 61% of the people in this article think a will is enough to meet their estate planning needs, when in fact, if that's all you have, nothing else, it's a one-way ticket to probate. So again, I'm glad you're on the call so we can educate everybody. 35% of people in this article said they knew of somebody who had a problem after somebody passed away that they knew. Do you know of anybody who died and the brothers don't talk anymore? The sister's mad at the cousin, and this person's having a problem. That's because people don't write anything down. See, the cool thing is about our platform, not only is there one-time flat fee, but you and anybody you get involved with our program, you can actually leave videos to your kids and grandkids and to your spouse. You can log in anytime you want to and say, you know what, the Mickey Mantle baseball card goes to my grandson, Timmy. And I want this going over here. See, people, it's interactive. People have fun with our document. This book trust, when you have a book trust, it's hard to change people. People lose them. They don't even know what it says. Ours is actually fun. It's interactive. So we hope you guys have that interview with Michelle and Michelle so they can explain it to you. And then 46% of all the people in this article said they want to know more about estate planning. I hope people have learned something here tonight. I hope you did. Estate planning, let's go through this. Why might you need an estate plan? Now, this is where the rubber hits the road. Ready? I'm going to go through 7 everyday situations that can lead to financial and emotional problems for your family and people you know, your parishioners. We want to prepare you guys for these. But as I go through these, if you have concern, remember this, we have a solution for every one of them. First one, and please turn over your questionnaire. These are on the back of your questionnaire. The first one we're going to go through is a car accident. Either you're a single person, and that's you in this car, or you're a married couple, you're both in the car, and you're single and you're totally incapacitated. Or you and your spouse are totally incapacitated. Now, just by chance, at the accident scene, a state trooper finds a phone number in the lady's purse or in the gentleman's wallet, and it says Richard, and there's a phone number. So the state trooper calls Richard. Hey, Richard, this is State Trooper Porter. I'm calling on behalf of, don't know if you know these people, but do you know such and such a person? Richard goes, well, yeah, hold on, you're a state trooper. What are you calling me for? Richard, calm down. There's been a terrible car accident. We're taking these people to the hospital. You better get up there if you know them. So what does your son do? Your son calls your 2 daughters and they go to the hospital. Their adult children go to the hospital, but they can't get any information. See, your kids rush to the hospital and say, what's going on with my mom and dad? What's going on with my mom? What's going on with my dad? What's my sister? And the administrator goes, hold on a second. Who are you guys? Well, we're the kids of Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. And the administrator goes, really? How do we know that? See, the problem is they don't know that. And you're in big trouble because who's going to make your decisions? Now, some of you have a healthcare power of attorney already, but I would bet a lot of money it's on paper and it's not on you right now. It's not going to work in an emergency. When you go to the grocery store, you don't carry it on you when you go to the grocery store. When you leave for the Florida trip, you don't put it in your pocket. It's in a safe deposit box or in a file in your living room. And your kids might not even know where it is. And if you have a car accident 100 miles from your house, nobody knows you even have it. So paper, we find in an emergency, doesn't work at all. But what happened here is you might put your kids through probate because they got to go get permission to make a decision for you, depending on your state law. So again, that'd be a bad situation for you to be in. The reason I bring all this up is one of the benefits of our platform Another one for the electronic version is all of our clients get medical ID cards. So if you and your spouse come into the office, Michelle and Michelle, after our process is over, the male in the family gets 4 medical ID cards. The female gets 4 medical ID cards. You sign all the cards. You give these cards to your spouse, the kids. Everybody's got a card. Now you have this card in your wallet now. Now, if you're 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away, or 5 miles away, when there's a car accident, the paramedics are trained to look at your wrist, your ankle, your necklace, or some type of medical ID. They find nothing, but they find the card in the gentleman's wallet or the lady's purse. The paramedic takes this card when you're admitted to the hospital unconscious. The paramedic gives it to the administrator who can log into your digital trust. There's a code there. They can log in and it says, oh, Joe Smith is allergic to penicillin. He's O negative blood type. He's diabetic. His doctor is right here, Dr. Smith. Here's his phone number. Oh, the daughter's the healthcare power of attorney. Let's call her. When they call your daughter, she's at work. She just has to go to the hospital with her card. She doesn't go to your house and find the healthcare power of attorney. Our stuff works and it might save your life. Does anybody like that benefit? If you do, you got to see Lachelle and Michelle. Now that's the male's card. Here's the female's card. Everybody gets a card. I had a client during COVID in March of 2020 calls me on the phone and says, Scott, I'm in the hospital. I have COVID. They're going to intubate me. My daughter's my healthcare power of attorney. He had our platform. My daughter's my healthcare power of attorney. She's in Europe. I'm going to change my healthcare power of attorney to my son. I said, Ted, get your phone out. He got his phone out and he changed his healthcare power of attorney to his son from the hospital bed. Remember during COVID? If he had a book trust, he'd have no prayer. The attorney couldn't even get in the hospital. There's a lot of uses to our platform when you have 100% control. And again, you can't get this anywhere else except talking to Michelle and Lachelle. Number 2 in the back. Let me say this to you. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 98% of all of you on this call have been told by your banker, your insurance agent, or your stockbroker on your IRA, your 401k, your 403b, put your spouse, primary beneficiary, your 3 kids contingent equally. That's been my experience. I've been in the business 38 years. Most people do that. See, your insurance agent is a really good insurance agent and they're honest. Your banker is a really good banker and he's honest or she's honest. And your stockbroker is a really good stockbroker and he or she are honest. They're not trying to tell you anything wrong. They just don't know. But they told you to name beneficiaries. There's actually 10 reasons not to do that. Let's go through that scenario. See this guy right here on the right-hand side of the screen, he has a larger IRA, but he died in a car accident. The spouse on the left-hand side was the primary beneficiary. She died. The contingent was the son, but he was in the back seat and he died. They couldn't tell who died first, so the entire account went through probate. Costs, delays, public record, and contestability. Some judge will decide where that money goes. The mere fact you're using beneficiaries tells me if certain things happen, that IRA might go through probate. So there's one scenario. Now, I know what you're thinking, Scott, it's okay. It's a shame I died with my wife and my son, but I got 2 daughters. Well, they'll split the money. We're going to avoid probate. You know what? You are 100% correct. Because you have 2 daughters, well, they'll split the money. But the second problem with this structure is when your son died, there is no lineage to your grandkids. So even though your daughters get the money, you unintentionally disinherited your son's kids. Is that your intention, to unintentionally disinherit your grandkids? Here's what I know in 38 years in the business. If you're retired and you're older, you like your kids, you love your grandkids. You don't want to disinherit your grandkids. Well, using beneficiary structure, that's a possibility. There's 2 reasons not to name beneficiaries right there that you're not protected against if you're using beneficiary designations. That's number 2 on the back of that sheet. Number 3, joint tenancy. On the screen here on the left-hand side is Bert and Martha. Bert and Martha have done very well. They're retired. They have a lot of assets. And they found out, you know what? It's too expensive to get a trust. I'm not going to do that. We're going to use a strategy called joint tenancy. To the right-hand side of Bert and Martha, to their left, to your right, is their daughter, Beth. They love Beth. Beth is very mature. She's the president of the bank. She's very sharp. They found out, you know what? We don't got to get a trust. We're just going to put Beth on our house and our bank accounts because if we die, she owns the property. There's no probate. And Bert and Martha are 100% correct. If they put Beth on the property and they die, there's no problem. We're going to avoid probate. Joint tenancy is a great way to avoid probate until it's not a great way to avoid probate. See, Bert and Martha put Beth on the house, and guess what happened 6 months later? The son-in-law wants a divorce. So the guy on the right-hand side, the son-in-law, Ted, hires an attorney. And the attorney does a skip trace, and the attorney calls your son-in-law and says, hey, man, did you know 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago, 6 hours ago, 6 days ago, your soon-to-be ex-wife, her parents put her on their house and their bank account 6 months ago or 6 days ago? And your son-in-law goes, really? What does that mean? Well, she did it while you're married. Now there's going to be a divorce. It's marital property. We can make an argument. Yeah, let's do that. I don't even like her anymore. So think about this. You just retired. Your retirement looks like smooth sailing. You got a $500,000 house, and you possibly have to go down to the bank on a Saturday afternoon and tell the banker, I need a loan against my mortgage. I need $250,000. And the banker goes, really? That's awesome. What are you going to put in a swimming pool? No. Are we going to take the kids around a world on a cruise? No. What are you going to do? I'm going to go, I need a check for $250,000 because I got to go pay off my soon-to-be ex-son-in-law who just broke my daughter's heart because you told me to put her on the house. Why'd you tell me to do that? You didn't tell me all the bad stuff. Joint tenancy is a horrible way to avoid probate. Don't do this. Nobody needs to be on your property. You shouldn't be on anybody's property. We can help you through the attorneys. We can make sure this happens with no risk. The other problem with joint tenancy is, what if your daughter's in a lawsuit? What if you put your daughter on the house and she's in a car accident and a couple of kids are killed and she gets sued for $1 million and she's on your property? I got 2 words for you. Good luck. You're going to need it, because what if you could lose your entire property? See, when you put your daughter on your house, she owns it just as much as you do, depending on how it's titled. It's a big risk. What if she files bankruptcy? What if she has a flower shop? I mean, everybody in this call, we all knew COVID was coming. We knew that, didn't we? No, we didn't know that. But your daughter owned a flower shop, and business was great until COVID hit. And now you can't put a flower in the nursing home. You can't send one to the funeral parlor. You can't even deliver a flower in some parts of the country during COVID. So your daughter files bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy court finds out she's on your property. You got problems. So joint tenancy is a terrible way to avoid probate. Don't do this. You probably need to look into an estate plan. That's number 3, joint tenancy. Let's get back to the beneficiaries. We already named 2 reasons not to name beneficiaries: probate and unintentional disinheritance of a grandchild. Here's a couple more. See, the lady that's center of the screen, she has an IRA. The broker told her, name your daughter the beneficiary. Who in this call is naming their kid's beneficiary on their IRA? If you are, please pay attention. This lady named her daughter as the beneficiary of her IRA. Now, the daughter is working at the bank making $50,000 a year. She's doing pretty good. Well, the lady passes away. Well, the financial company called the daughter and says, you know what? Your mom had an account for $200,000. Do you want the money? The daughter goes, I'm heartbroken. I'm so sad my mom died, but yeah, I'm the beneficiary. I'll take the money. So you guys have to realize, when you leave your retirement account to your spouse, in most cases, it's tax-free, no problem. When you leave it to your kids, it's ordinary income. See, the daughter is already making $50,000 in the bank. She took a lump sum. So that means she makes 50 plus the 200. That's $250,000 that year. Put the 32% tax bracket. She just lost $64,000. Let me ask you all a question. Is it your intention for your kids to pay the most possible taxes when you pass away? If it is, just leave them on as beneficiary. If it's not, call Michelle and Lachelle, because we can fix this problem. So now the daughter in this situation ends up with $136,000. I've given you 3 reasons not to name beneficiaries: probate, unintentional disinheritance of a grandchild, and taxes. Here's the 4th reason. All of you might know and might want to know that 78% of all inheritances are gone in 18 months or less. I'm going to say it again. 78% of all inheritances are gone in 18 months or less because your son or daughter didn't earn the money, but they always wanted the Corvette and the lake house. They always wanted to go to Vegas in Europe. See, the IRA took you 35 years to build. It's probably going to be gone in about a year and a half because your kids didn't earn the money. That's reason number 4 not to name beneficiaries. Let me give you 5, 6, and 7. Did you guys realize that once you have a beneficiary on a brokerage account, a life insurance policy, or an annuity, when you name a beneficiary, if it's a straight beneficiary designation, that beneficiary cannot be stopped. It's got to be paid out. So if your daughter is the beneficiary and she's in a lawsuit or a bankruptcy on a divorce, if the money's paid out and she's in a lawsuit, divorce, or a bankruptcy, she might not get anything because the bankruptcy court will take it, the lawsuit will take it, or the ex-spouse will take half, depending on the situation. There's no protection against a lawsuit, divorce, or a bankruptcy if you have a straight beneficiary designation. I just given you 7 reasons not to name a beneficiary. You probably need to have an estate plan. Please call Michelle and Lachelle because we can fix all 7 of these problems pretty darn quick with a one-time flat fee, and you can change it whenever you want to from your kitchen table. If you go get a book, you can't do any of that because your IRA calls a divorce. Let's say you got $500,000 in your IRA. You pass away. The daughter takes the money. She takes the $500,000, pays the taxes, ends up with $300,000, and she thinks everything's okay at home. So she puts it in a joint bank account. That's the perfect time for your son-in-law to say, you know what, Beth? You've been a fantastic wife, and I still love you, but the kids are grown now, and I just don't feel like being married anymore. And there's $300,000 in a joint bank account. Guess what? That'd be a nice parting gift for your son-in-law, who you never liked in the first place, because you named a beneficiary. I just gave you the 8th reason not to do beneficiary designations. In this example, remember it's $136,000 after taxes? Well, your son-in-law might get $68,000, and you never liked the guy in the first place. There's 8 reasons not to name beneficiaries. If this is true, call Michelle and Lachelle. We can fix all these for you guys. That's number 4. Has anybody in this call heard of an IRA beneficiary trust? If you've not heard this document and you have a financial advisor, I have a concern. Because if you haven't heard of this document, there's only 2 reasons. Your current advisor has never heard of it or didn't care to tell you. I'd probably call him or her tomorrow and ask him which one it is, because you need to know what this is. If you have a 401k, 403b, traditional IRA, TSB, TSA, profit sharing program, SEP, you must have this document because it does 3 things. Number 1, enables you to manage the distribution after you're gone. If you have an IRA beneficiary trust, you can say, you know what? My son is horrible with money. When I die, he gets the money over 10 years, period. He gets it over 10 years. Why would we do that? We can't take a lump sum. He's taken over 10 years. Also, we're going to lower his taxes. He gets it over 10 years. My daughter, she's pretty good. She's got 3 kids. I want her to get the money over 7 years. But you can map out the distribution now and save them from themselves. They can't blow the money. We're going to lower their taxes. The other 2 things it does, it protects your kids against a lawsuit and also a divorce. If you really want to protect your kids against a lawsuit and a divorce, you must meet with Lachelle and Michelle, because your beneficiary designation has 0 protection right now. You're leaving your kids in a very vulnerable position. So please call Lachelle and Michelle. Scenario number 5, conservatorship. If I ask this question, who in this call's been married 35, 45, 50 years, just because you've been married 35, 40, 50 years does not necessarily mean you'll even make your spouse's healthcare decisions. We had a situation where a couple came in, they've been married 60 years, they're in their 80s, and they came in for a consultation. We showed them our program. They said, we're going to think about it. So they left. Well, about 4 months later, on a Thursday night, the lady called me and said, Scott, I got to see the attorney. I said, why? She goes, my husband has lost capacity. He went to Walmart. He couldn't even find his car keys. He's out of it. I need the attorney to write his healthcare power of attorney. So the lady came in. Our attorney told them, Mrs. Jones, I'm very sorry. Although you've been married 62 years, your husband's over 18. I can't name you healthcare power of attorney on your husband. He had to do that when he has sound mind. Lady goes, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to have to go to court. So the lady goes to court. And the judge says, ma'am, based on your age, the medications you're on, the answers you gave me, I cannot name you healthcare power of attorney for your spouse. If you screw it up, your kids are going to sue me. Lady goes, what am I going to do? Well, we're going to appoint a guardian ad litem. Lady goes, what's that? That's a court-appointed person, a stranger, to make your husband's health care decisions. Yeah, but I've been married 62 years. I love the guy. Judge says, I'm sorry, that's what's going to happen. Well, how much does that cost? It costs $8,000 to set up a guardian ad litem, and it's $900 a month. Our entire estate plan is way lower than $8,000, but the people procrastinated. Now, this lady takes her husband to the doctor. An email is sent to the guardian ad litem, a stranger at the court, and the court makes the decision because these people procrastinated. The message is this: don't procrastinate. Lachelle and Michelle have a program that you can pay a one-time flat fee, very affordable, have 100% control, and have all these things at your fingertips to make sure this doesn't happen. We can appoint your healthcare power of attorney when you have the call over the internet. That's number 5. If anybody in the call has a special needs grandchild or child, Michelle and Lachelle have an expert on our staff that can help them. Number 6, a lot of you have been married 35, 40, you know people married 35, 40 years. Again, just because you've been married has no bearing on if you have access to your spouse's retirement account. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, scenario 6, if your spouse is in a coma or becomes incapacitated, your spouse has an IRA, 401k, 403b, what access will you have that money without the proper documents? The answer is 0, none. If you've been married 13 years, 3 years, 7 years, 62 years, if these accounts are in an individual name, and even though the broker took you to lunch 4 times last year, if your husband has a heart attack and you call the broker and want to know about his IRA without a proper document, they can't give you any information. If your wife's in a car accident, is incapacitated in a coma, you as the spouse have no access to her retirement account, even for her care. You got to go to court and get a financial power of attorney. Is it your intention to cause extra financial and emotional burden to your family? If it is, then don't talk to Michelle and Lachelle. Just let it go. And when something happens, that's what you're going to do. If you don't want to do that, I think you should set up a time with Lachelle and Michelle to see if we're a fit. Because all these documents can be done very quickly and easily, one-time flat fee, and you have 100% control. You can't do that with a book. Number 7, we talked about this. Who in this call has a single adult child over 18? Don't let this happen. Your kids need to have the healthcare power of attorney. They need to appoint somebody, or it's going to be a stressful situation for your family. These are all reasons you all need to have an estate plan. Proper estate planning can address all these scenarios. Every one of them could be avoided. It could be a lot easier road if you talk to Lachelle and Michelle. Common questions. What's better, a will or trust? Probably a trust, but a trust must be funded. Remember, the trust doesn't avoid probate. Funding does. If you go anywhere else, I would just wish you good luck, because it's going to take 4 to 12 weeks to do it, and you're going to do it on your own in most cases. If you see Michelle and Michelle, they can do it in an hour, and their staff does all the work. Probate, what is it? How does it work? Can it be avoided? Let's go through this. Here's the definition of a will. Why does a will guarantee probate? Here's why. I'm going to read this. The granting of probate is the first step in the legal process of administering the deceased person's estate. So if you have a life insurance policy and your wife is the beneficiary and you die, there's no probate. There's a beneficiary. But if you die and you have a classic car, a 1972 Plymouth, and it's worth $80,000, it's just in your name, well, there's no beneficiary. It's got to go through probate. If you and your spouse have a house and it's paid off, but you don't have a beneficiary, there's no beneficiary. When you die and your wife dies with you, because there's no beneficiary, it's got to go through probate. So probate is for all the assets that don't have beneficiary designations. But if you have a life insurance policy and your spouse is the beneficiary, and you and your spouse die, there's no living beneficiary. It's got to go through probate. So if certain things happen, even though you have a beneficiary, it might go through probate. That's why you want to talk to Lachelle and Michelle to make sure we have contingent plans on everything. Probate resolves all the claims. All your bills are paid and distributes all the deceased's assets under a will. Anything that goes to the will must go to probate court. There's the definition. Okay, we want to avoid that. I'm going to skip that for time. Problem with probate. Now, these are Missouri fees. I live in Missouri, but these are typical. The fees in Missouri, if somebody has a $400,000 house in Missouri and they go through probate, the minimum fee, this is the minimum if nobody fights, is $23,000. This might be a little higher, a little lower in your state. You can look them up, but 23 grand, this could be totally avoided with a click of a button with our platform, paying a one-time flat fee. The other problem is, well, it comes down to it, and let me ask everybody on this call, Do you want your assets to be controlled by the state you live in or to your family? Most people want the family. Well, if you want the family, you got to have a plan. We can't wish it away. You guys are all targets for probate if certain things happen. If you want it to be over here on the right-hand side, call Michelle and Lachelle. Get the free consultation. Second problem with probate are the delays. In Missouri and in most states, there's a 6-month automatic temporary injunction. If you die and your house goes through probate, I would just ask the question, which one of your kids are going to pay your house payment? I know who pays your house payment. It's your most successful child or relative. They pay the house payment and they never get the money back. And your kids don't talk for 5 Christmases because you put it off. Don't do that. We have a very simple process, a one-time flat fee. It's actually fun because it's all interactive. Call Michelle and Lachelle to get a free consultation. Even if your house is paid off, who's going to pay the gas, water, and electric bill? It's still got to be paid. Don't let there be a burden on your family. And what about real estate taxes? Who's going to pay that bill? Well, if your kids don't pay the tax bill, foreclosure starts in 3 months, probate 6 months. The house might be auctioned off. Don't let that happen. This is an easy process, everybody. Don't make it complicated. We have the simplest process in the country. Third problem with probate is public record. Everything's going on the internet. Do you want your assets on the internet? If so, don't call Michelle and Lachelle. Let it go. If you don't like that, call them. We can make an easy process. And again, contestability. Let me move this. If it goes to probate, anybody can contest your estate. You know, if you don't believe me, when we get off the call, just go to Missouri CaseNet and hit probate. You'll see all the probate. Go to your own state's CaseNet and put the probate name in there. You'll see all the probate cases. It's public record. You want to keep yourself out of public record, call Michelle and Lachelle. Now, we talked about this. A will, if that's all you have, guarantees probate. So if you have a will and it goes through probate, your assets are inventoried. Everybody on this call, your assets will be inventoried. Yours will be, so will your sister, your cousin, your brother, your neighbor. Everybody's assets are inventoried. If you don't do an estate plan and something goes through probate, probate does the inventory. Probate is a Latin term that means to prove. What did this person own and who did they own? What did they own? That's the inventory. Oh, a house, a jet ski, a car, a boat, a brokerage account? Great. They put a fee on everything. That's the inventory. We estimate that fee to be about 10%. So you know what you're worth. Whatever you're worth, multiplied by 10%, that's probably your probate fee. Excuse me, but that's only if nobody fights. What if people start fighting? Because most people don't have a tax plan. When you leave your IRA to your kids, that money plus their income is probably going to put them at the 30% tax bracket. So the mere fact you're naming your kids beneficiary in your retirement account, they're probably going to pay 30% of that in taxes. So most people, we estimate, give their family about 60% because they don't have a plan. If you don't like that 60%, please call Michelle and Lachelle. Let them talk to you, find out more, because what we do is we develop a revocable living trust, a strategy. There's the trust at the top of the page. Now, because we fund the trust electronically, we can wipe this out as long as you give them all your documents. They're going to ask for copies of documents. We're going to do all the work, though. We can fund your trust in an hour. If you do the tax planning, which is an option, we can't get everybody to 100%, but we might get you to 82%, 87, 78. Some of you will get to 100%, but at least we have a plan. At least you have a chance. We want to try to get you to 100%. How do you do that? Free consultation with Michelle and Lachelle. And then non-planners, these are celebrity non-planners. Elvis Presley died. When he died, he was worth $10 million, but 7.3 went to probate because the Memphis Mafia, his 44 friends, started fighting over everything. Howard Hughes, the richest man in the world, when he died, 7 years to settle. Michael Jackson, 2 ex-wives, 3 kids. The mother-in-law went to probate, or his mother went to probate, 7 years to settle. Abraham Lincoln was a president. He was a lawyer. He had nothing. Dr. Martin Luther King, 45 years in probate. We all know Prince died over 8 years ago. He died in an elevator at 57 years old. He didn't know that was going to happen that day. But Prince was worth over $316 million when he died. But Minnesota has an automatic temporary injunction just like most states. So everything was frozen. So George Lopez had to loan Prince's family $20,000 for the singer's death. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. We just don't want it happening to you. Remember the statistic I gave you? About 230 families per day, every day, open a probate file. Our job, our mission is to lower that, and we certainly don't want you part of that. There's an easy way to get away from probate. One-time flat fee, we can fund it in about an hour. You have 100% control. Only platform like that in the country that I know of. Call Michelle if you want to know more. And then probate is not the problem. Probate serves a purpose. Probate serves a purpose because all your bills are paid. Doesn't mean you have to use it, but people go through probate for one or two reasons. Number one, lack of education. I hope everybody in this call learned something tonight. If you did, then you're educated. That's good. But education with no action is worthless. It's a waste of time. You wasted about an hour of your time because you're educated, but nothing's going to happen. Procrastination, I looked it up in the dictionary. It means real good at doing nothing. And real good at doing nothing might you end up your family in probate court. Don't procrastinate. Again, we have the easiest process. It's actually kind of fun to do this at a one-time flat fee and 100% control. Don't put this off. Make that appointment with Michelle and Lachelle and find out more about. We might not be a fit, but at least you'll spend an hour and find out. But again, only platform, one-time flat fee. Do you want to avoid probate? If you do, first step is setting that appointment with Lachelle and Michelle. Last slide. Here we go. Parties involved in a trust. If you do a trust, if you actually do a trust with us, you're the grantor settlor. That means you make all the rules. We have on Lachelle and Michelle's staff, they have a person that's going to ask you, hey, Joe, if you die, who gets your house? When do they get it? How do they get it? What about the lake property? Do you want to protect your kids against a lawsuit, divorce, and a bankruptcy if you die on your IRA? Yeah. Who gets the Mickey Mantle baseball card? What about the jewelry? See, they have a staff that's going to help you out. When we're doing that, you're becoming the grantor settlor. If you don't do that and your house goes through probate, guess who the grantor settlor is? It's some judge in your state who doesn't know you, doesn't know your family, could probably care less because you just had 230 probate cases open today and another 230 coming tomorrow. So your assets probably aren't going to go where they want you to go. We want to make you the grantor settlor. Doesn't that make sense? If you spent 30 years paying off a house, you'd want to be in charge of where it goes? Well, first step is calling Michelle and Lachelle. See, well, the problem you guys have in this call probably is you have all these assets, but they're in your name. Remember, we can't have the stuff in your name. We got to get it out of your name. First step is opening up the estate plan. It's not enough to go to a law firm in your state or city and pay the fee. The trust doesn't avoid probate when it comes to your titled assets. What it does avoid probate is funding. The problem you have, if you don't call Michelle and Lachelle, it's going to probably take you till Christmas to do it. And I know you're going to get busy and it's complicated and confusing, so you probably won't do it at all. See, if you go see them, they do all the work. We put the assets in the trust in about an hour. Funding is critical. We can do it in an hour. Go anywhere else. I got 2 words for everybody on the call. I wish you all a lot of luck because you're going to need it and it ain't going to be fun. But because we can fund it in an hour, when you guys pass away, the stuff just goes to your beneficiaries. So if that's what you want to have happen, you need to call Michelle and Lachelle. I could have done the whole presentation in one slide. Sorry about that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. With that being said, I'm done with the presentation. We'd love to help you. Again, only platform in the country, one-time flat fee for documents, never pay again. 100% control, and we can fund it in 1 hour. That being said, I'll turn it back over to Lachelle and Michelle. Thank you guys all for your attention. Hopefully you guys found it interesting, and we'll go from there. Michelle, you're muted, hon.
You're muted, Michelle.
You're muted, Michelle.
All right. Now, I was sitting here taking it all in. Thank you guys so much. We have just a few minutes for maybe 1 or 2 questions if you have any. We're going to give you some instructions how you can definitely follow up and follow through. Thank you so much for saying great information. We had a pastor on tonight in Michigan and want this information to be shared with his church. So we're going to be working on getting a date that we can go. That's what this is about, is getting your church, getting your members informed with this information. So pastors, you're on. But the first things first, we want to get you taken care of. I think that's the first thing, is to get you taken care of. So go ahead and complete. Let me do us back here, put us on with you. Let's see. All right, Michelle, let me see if I can bring you on as well. Add to pin. There we go. Okay, and we'll bring Scott back if we need Scott. Thank you so much, Scott. I don't know how you do it all in one
My
breath.
pleasure. My
Just,
pleasure. My
just
pleasure.
phenomenal. Okay, someone says I need to share I need the information, either my church after I take care of my, absolutely, absolutely. And I see, is it Akin B? You've already made your appointment. So that's the first step. So Lachelle and I will be getting with you. So definitely congratulations on that. For those who did fill out the form, you will receive an electronic packet. That electronic packet will let you know the next steps, your appointment time. We're going to meet with you this week. Pastor Lance is completing his form now, so thank you so much. That's what you want to do. Take action. We don't want to be procrastinators. We want to definitely take action. Michelle, you have any follow-ups from the presentation? I know
No,
it's
just to reiterate what you said, and anyone who has not already filled the form out, please go ahead and do so that we can schedule your initial consultation, get you started. We do not want to be really good at doing nothing, okay? We are changing the game beginning tonight, starting with each and every one of you. Michelle, I've already received a request about when will we do this again. We have people that are wanting to bring their groups on. They came on tonight by themselves, ready to schedule for their groups as well. So we will be getting back with all of you. See maybe if we can grab Scott again, we'll see if he wants to come back. You guys give him some hearts, some hand claps, something. So let him know that we appreciate it, his information, and we need to do it again.
yeah.
Thank
I
you.
would say to that too, you can be an advocate. I mean, you don't have to be a licensed insurance agent. As a licensed insurance agent, we have the credentials to be able to write policies, IULs, to help you transfer your IRAs or 401k plans, whatever it is. We're licensed in the state of Texas, and we get those licenses in Michigan wherever we have to travel, and bring Robbie along with us to help us write these policies to get you taken care of. But to just be an advocate for estate, for this estate planning, you don't need to have a license. So reach out to us. We want you to advocate with us and for us so that we can help take this to so many people. It's about helping other people. Yes,
That's right.
it could be a livelihood for some people, but at the end of the day, if we don't share this information, we still live in that pandemic that Scott talked about, the pandemic of probate. Right now, I have two clients. I do estate sales, and I have two clients that we couldn't do the estate sale until 3 years later. But in that 3 years, they incurred 3 years of taxes, which the state of Texas said they don't do any exemption, dead or no, not dead. So now that family has to pay $40,000 in taxes in order to be able to sell their real estate. This is an estate. Person been there 3 years, but they had to wait till all of her assets went through probate because she had no children. She had no beneficiaries, right? So then the court had to assign an estate administrator. So once that was done 3 years later, this family is now having to use $40,000 of those proceeds to pay taxes. So these are all things that we can avoid. These are real life stories that I know I deal with. Had another young lady at 50 years old to die, aneurysm over her bathtub. Her house stayed in probate for 3 years. We just liquidated her assets, and her sister, who's out of state, is being able to sell the house. But again, families are losing money, and they're unable to put their family to rest properly until all these affairs are taken care of. So I hope you were benefited from this. Again, I will post the link. We're not going to hold you or belabor this point. I think point well taken by Scott. I hope that you come back again and be with us. We had pastors on. I'll ask one last time. Pastors, do you have any questions? Anybody that's on the line have any questions?
No question. This was a very, very good meeting tonight.
Thank
It's
you.
kind of interesting because just 2 days ago, I was just about to sign something with a company called trustandwheels.com.
Yeah,
And I set up an appointment with them for Monday. So I'm going to cancel that appointment and talk to Michelle.
there you go, Pastor.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
Very
Great
good.
information.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right. If nothing else, guys, we'll see you. We'll post the next time we'll be on. And we thank you so much for being with us on tonight. And go ahead and post. Go ahead and
Hello.
yes,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, this is Pastor Hagan. I got a question.
You went muted, Pastor Haygood. You muted.
Okay. I'm up now. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, Pastor Haygood is muted. He was talking.
Oh,
You're still talking. You're muted. You muted. Sorry.
It
Unmute.
looks like he actually, he
Unmute.
looks like he fell off.
There you go. Now you.
No,
Oh, okay.
I just wanted, yeah. Is this just a regular trust? Because I know there's different types of trusts. There's like revocable and then irrevocable trusts.
Yes. Yes, we do different trusts. When you meet with Michelle, they'll point you in the right direction, but we do either or.
Yeah, because I'm trying to find out which one is better. I know there's differences between the two.
Yes, sir. Revocable means changeable. Irrevocable, we can't change it. But when you have their free consultation, they can kind of educate you on that. And not them, because we don't give legal advice, but we'll point you in the right direction, and the attorney will review that with you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great question, though. Thank you for being here.
I have a question about the form.
Okay.
I'm going through the questionnaire, and under the phone number, it keeps saying must be a valid email.
Oh. Okay, let's see.
Mine is too.
Yours is too? Okay.
Yeah.
We
It won't let me go any further.
Right.
Give me 1 second. I'll correct that for you. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's Danette Anderson, Pastor
Hey,
Lance's wife. How you doing?
Our Michigan family.
Yes. Excellent presentation, by the way.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Correct.
And we also have, Michelle, we also have business owners. I know we've got a lot of pastors in here tonight, but we also have some business owners, and I want to thank each and every one of you for getting on as well, and that we are available also to do these presentations with your companies, your staff. We are mobile and virtual, so we want to make sure you guys know that. We have bar divas in the house, Houston's finest.
Hey, and I'm actually from St. Louis, Scott.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. What part? What part?
I lived in Creve Coeur, 270 and Olive.
My office is number 2 City Place at 270 Olive. That's where my office is.
Oh, really? Yeah,
It
that's
is.
where I lived before I left. Before I left St. Louis, my children went to Parkway.
Awesome. When you ever get back to St. Louis, I'll buy you lunch. All right.
Okay, I'm in St. Louis often now, Scott.
Come on by.
She
Come
really
on by.
is, Scott, so she's gonna look at that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, it's good to see you.
So,
There you go.
I also invited my sister, Gloria Donald, who lives in St. Louis. So I'm there visiting all the time. I have family there.
Awesome. Well, I've got a couple live events next week at the Walnut Grill. So if she's free, she can come see us live, and we have a dinner. It's really nice. A lot of good information.
Oh, okay.
So let me know.
Yeah, send that information. That'll be great.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
No
I'd
problem.
love to hear it again. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. This was so informative and so good. It was like everything you were saying, like Michelle said at the beginning, when he's talking, I'm just so focused. Like everything you were saying about all of this is so important. My sister and I were just talking about the trust, and because we own homes.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's like, what's going to happen if something happens to us, our children?
Right.
They're not going to get our homes, you know?
Right. Yeah. So then can you take my number down? Have your sister call me. You guys call me because she wants to come to the dinner. She can. We have 2 dinners and a lunch. Okay. But my number's, and anybody, 314-580-0524.
Okay.
Okay.
And then make sure you get us the information as to when the event is going to take place.
I'll pass that on to Michelle, and Michelle, they'll let you know for sure.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
And our
Thank
commitment
you.
is not just to do these virtually. We will be having a live event, and we will have Scott come to Houston to be with us. We're on a mission to make sure we get this in the hands and in the face of many people. You know, being in real estate, I cross this part all the time with estate sales and things of that nature. So it just brought more awareness that, you know, we don't have this level of education. So that's our commitment, Lachelle and I, through My Legacy Concierge. So go to mylegacyconcierge.com and you'll be able to get more information and kind of see when the next one will be as soon as we post it. So I want to know, did the ones that was trying to fill out the form, were you able to put in your phone number now?
Let me go back.
I'm looking for, where's the form at?
The form is on the link. That's
Okay.
chat. If you go,
I got another quick question. Now, even if you do this, is any states exempt from this trust thing that you all have set up?
no,
Great question, Pastor Haygood. No, any state you live in, because of jurisdictional shopping, you can get Nevada law. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Good question though, sir.
All right, because I think I listened to a seminar back before, and I guess some people that I listened to, I think they were out of Delaware.
Okay. Okay. Could be.
all right. Well, nothing else, Scott. I know you are preparing for your rest of the week. We thank you for being on. We'll see you Thursday. And everyone, complete your form. Lachelle and I will just hang out in case you have any questions for us. But thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. Nice to see all you fine people.
Thanks, Scott. Talk to
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Everyone have a wonderful and blessed evening.
Thank you.
Too.
Thank you.
Hey, Michelle, mine is still saying
Yeah, mine too.
Okay.
the email.
Here.
And actually under the home address is saying that too. Should I clear the form and maybe start over?
Maybe refresh.
Because it says number.
Yep, maybe that's what I should do. Just
Yeah, refresh it because it says text. That's text information. Yeah, we want to really have this form electronically. That way we can get things in your hands a little faster. So try it again, refresh it again and see. And we'll stay on to make sure that you can.
Michelle, did you get my
It worked
form?
that time. I refreshed it and it worked.
It worked.
Okay, let me try mine.
Thank you so much.
I think I got your form, but can you drop your phone number? Did it allow you to put your phone number on the form?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay, Pastor Anderson and Lady Anderson. Okay.
Yes.
Pastor King, what about you?
I thought you said you got my form. I was able to put all the information.
Okay, I got your form. I just wanted to make sure that you were able to put your phone number there.
Yeah, I was surprised it didn't work for them. It was a Google form and it went through.
Okay.
It may be on some people's workstation if they have a
I
firewall
refreshed and
set
it
up.
worked.
Okay, good.
I refreshed and it worked.
Okay, drop your number, direct your number to me because I don't have your number here. I have your
Thank you all. I'm going to drop off. This was amazing. I'm so glad I happened to look online and just Lachelle and I spoke. Like, I needed this and my sister needed this too. Seriously.
We look forward to connecting with you as well.
Yes.
Where is
Thank you.
Lachelle? Are you in Houston also?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, Renee. I don't know if Renee is still on. Is Renee still on? Probably not. We'll shoot an email.
Michelle, your number is still the same, right?
It is. Yeah, Pastor King, you probably locked in my phone.
Yeah. Lachelle, do you mind sharing your number?
Oh, sure. It's 832.
Okay.
247.
Okay.
0355.
55. Okay, so Michelle, I'll reach out to you. I'm going to do a workshop. I set up a workshop at the
Absolutely.
church.
We would love-
So
I know you have a reach too. so
after I finish mine.
yeah, let's get you started.
Okay.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
follow up with everyone this week and schedule your appointments. But thank you so much for being on. Anybody else?
Oh.
All right. Okay, well, we're signing out from Houston, Texas. Michelle and Lachelle. Thank you guys. God bless.
Love it.
All right. God bless.
Good night. Peace
Michelle.
and blessings, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Michelle,
Yes.
I can't find that form for the appointment. Where was that at?
Okay, go to your chat. If you go to your chat,
Okay, hold
Pastor
on.
Good, and click on that link
Yep.
I just sent you. Can you access your chat? You're on mute.
Tell him to touch the screen, and there's going to be a tab at the bottom that says chat.
You see it, Pastor Haygood?
His
Yes.
line is muted.
Yeah, you muted, sir.
Pastor, just click on your picture.
Yeah, I found it. I found the link. I got it.
There you
It's
go.
a Google Doc. Thank you.
It's a
Yeah.
Google Doc, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Good
All
night,
right.
everybody. Thank you. God bless.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.
Bye-bye.